Hi everybody. On today's episode, we're going to talk about how to improve your martial arts no matter what level you are, whether it's a beginner, intermediate, or an advanced student. Why don't you come join us and find out?
Welcome back to Daoist Gate Talks. My name is Rick Johanson. We're here with Master Zhou Xuan-Yun and Henry Lee.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about the topic of what can you do to improve your practice no matter what level you're at. So the first question is, what would you say to an absolute beginner who wants to improve their martial arts?
OK， 汉语翻译。其实我们今天在这地方，讲这个功夫怎么样这个练习呢？就是说我来讲的是我的一个经验。对。
So it's to approach this topic, we're going to speak strictly from Master Zhou's personal experience.
我们先来讲这个我自己锻炼的时候啊，我在这个自己锻炼的时候，就是我们刚开始的时候锻炼的时候，因为是教练来教，你也没有这个想法。就是说没有什么东西，如果就是老师教什么，你练什么，就是跟着老师去练就可以了。
Okay. So back when Sifu was practicing, back when he was a beginner, you just had the coach who was telling you, do this, do that, do that. So at that point, it was very fundamental phases. There was no reason to go into theories or thought processes. At that time for him, it was just saying, I just got to get my body used to it. Okay, coach says to do something, I'm just going to do that thing.
但是就是我来美国，就是我后来做这个老师的时候，我教过很多的学生，就有一些学生就是说问题了，特别就是这个学生他们就是说想的太多，就是说来到这个地方，就是说哎呀我怎么样练这个，怎么样练那个，就是说他们总是这个第一步就是属于说一个马步都没蹲好的时候，他们都想着别的东西了。都想我这个劲是怎么发出去啊？怎么把这个力打得更厉害啊？这个问题都出来了，对。
So the problem that Sifu's encountered, having now moved to America and really making teaching his full-time thing, is the fact that a lot of beginners, they come in and they're thinking too much. So they come and they say, okay, so go ahead, do the horse stance, do this, whatever. And right off the bat, with only giving it only the slightest a bit of an attempt, it immediately comes up as, how do I do this? How do I do this? Shouldn't I be thinking about power? This, blah, blah, blah. There's so much going on. And that's kind of the first pitfall, which is you put too much thought into it. Just get a fundamental understanding. Just get used to it first. And then, after that, maybe think about it. But a lot of these folks, it's too much thought right off the bat.
所以我在那个功夫 DVD， 就是我出那个功夫 DVD 里面都讲到了，练功夫它就是这个像盖楼盖房子一样，你这个地基下面呢，没做好，这楼房一盖倒全垮了，这个房子也盖不起来。所以这个基本功是非常非常重要，你就不要想多了，就是去练。
So Sifu's mentioned this in the past in his DVDs, which is to say, everything is about having a really strong foundation. And there's just no avoiding that. You have to work, you have to have a foundation that's just unshakable. Or, anything that's built up after that, if you only have a shaky understanding or a shaky conditioning, or your body's conditioned and that foundation is very weak, you can learn all the advanced stuff you want, but because your foundation was weak, it's not going to get very far.
所以你看，我们这教学生就是说这个套路，我们教的就是很慢。但是有的一些学生，他一来，他每天都想学习。我今天要学个动作，明天要学2个动作，后天要学，就是说他每一节课都想学些不同的东西，他觉得他学到了。其实这样的话，你学的东西都是一个外表的，非常非常外表，而且动作是非常不正规。这动作什么用都没得，是不是？就是这样的话，也会把你自己学的，就是里面的东西你没学到的话，光学外面的东西，到后面你觉得什么东西都是简单的，什么一学都会，其实你什么东西都没学到。
So what happens is that as you and I have both experienced, our classes, what's noticeable about it is the fact that progress for students is done very, very slowly. And that's for the sake of building that really strong foundation. And what Sifu's noticed is that there are a lot of folks that they come in and they want to say, oh, I learned this, and oh, we practiced that last time. Now, what's the new thing for today? But the problem is that they come in and you say, well, the new thing is the old thing. You still
Right.
haven't gotten it right
Yeah.
yet. And they're saying, no, I've got it right. No, you don't. And that's the thing, is that having to accept that first step of saying, okay, just like with Sifu when he was in China, when the coach is a professional, they know what to look for. There's that thing, there's them having that expertise to say, okay, now you've got a good understanding. Now you've got a good foundation. Let's move on.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that, because sometimes, like, the next question is, like, how would an intermediate person approach their training? And I feel like I'm in that category where some things I'm feeling like I'm starting to have a good understanding, and other things, like even today's class, like I'm working on the basics on some of the kick,
Right.
make sure I have the right form. And that's like the absolute foundation. So what would you say to an intermediate student, someone like me that's training for a little bit but still needs to improve?
对，作为我们这个中级的这种练性，其实说我们没有一个 level，其实练到这个差不多了，就是说练到你这个到一定的程度了，就是我们觉得自己这个套路呀，就是说练的都熟悉了，不错了。这时候你就要想着你这个套路，它每一个动作的这种意思，是吧？就像我们这个功夫，它每一个动作其实它都是有应用的。你想这个应用怎么把它给应用出去？然后这个如果这个太极呢，如果有的这个太极我们讲究养生的，这讲这个气啊，你都开始想着你个气怎么样把这个带到这个套路里面
Okay. So first and foremost, something that we just wanted to make clear is that typically speaking in Chinese martial arts, we don't do the divisions of like beginner, intermediate, advanced, so clean cut, something like a white belt or a black belt or whatsoever. Certainly not a criticism of those systems, but just based on the traditional Chinese culture and the Chinese martial arts, we don't really do that. And so what happens is that from our perspective, it's more about seeing and observing a student and saying, okay, so clearly your body conditioning is pretty good. You've got a decent understanding of what you're trying to do here. So now that's where we would kind of place that, if we had to place that intermediate tag on there. And so from there, the next step is for, you have the student that knows the form, they know like the back of their hand, now they have to infuse with meaning. What does every single move mean? A punch isn't just throwing your hands out there. It's, I have to go and actually this has to hit somebody. I have to turn and look and hit this one. You have to have meaning in your movements. And then for our internal martial arts, that sense of bringing your chi to each movement. So put a meaning behind it as well. So once again, it's not just, I punch. Well, there's no energy in that. There's no chi. So it has to be, boom, you put the chi into it. So those are the next steps to, put more mindfulness into it. The movements,
right?
Now give it life.
那像这个我们刚才也讲这个，像这个太极拳的话，就是说它讲究这个养生。你想讲究这个养生的话，你都想着你的这个呼吸，这个丹田这个气怎么样和你的这个动作去配合到一起。
就是的自然
自然的这种感觉，这种气，这种呼吸和你的动作怎么样的更自然的配合。
Okay, so even if we're talking about something like Tai Chi instead, where it's more about the preserving health and just keeping yourself in good health, that idea of really making sure the chi and the breath accompanies your movements. Does it feel natural, or is it still this stilted and sort of superficial movement, or do you actually feel something inside? Do you feel your breath going with the motions, this sort of thing, like that?
Cool. And what about for a more advanced, two parts to this question. First, what would you say to someone who's trained in either Tai Chi or martial arts for many years, but they're coming back to it, and a more advanced student that's returning to the training?
Okay.
Okay, it's the question. 如果是到这个程度，其实这一些人他自己可能已经觉得我练得非常非常好，练很多年，但是他不一定真的能练好，是不是？就是说，其实练武术它是一个对我们来说它是没有那个境界的，它是没有一个多高一个层次的。你只要去练，它都会长。你不练，要么停，要么就下来了。
So the pitfall with advanced folks or folks who've had a lot of experience like that is the fact that precisely because they've been told or they might have experienced that idea that, hey, I'm advanced, I'm really good at what I do. Pitfall number one is to be trapped in that mentality of thinking, I've got nothing else to learn. I'm already so good at what I do. That in and of itself is self-defeating because now, you've given yourself no room left to grow. And that's the thing to realize is that it's not that martial arts suddenly, this is the end point. I've gotten as good as I can possibly be. There's always room to grow. So, that's the thing, is to keep that open mind to say, I can still keep growing. And the other thing to remember is that, like you said, if you haven't been in there for a while, it's not something that just stays static. Right. It isn't that I hit this level, I'm always going to be this good. If you haven't practiced in a while, you've probably diminished. Your level's probably diminished. You've got to practice and get yourself back up to here before you move on.
所以说就是我们在练，就是说可能到一个 level， 就是到一个这个层次的话，就你要把你的这个动作，就是我们说可能他说就是到第3个 level 或者第1个 level，就你要想着把你的这个动作练到一定的程度，就说我们这个 meaning 有这个 meaning， 但是把这个意思，你想到的这种意思，把它练的，就是说非常非常熟，就是说像这个别人打你一拳，我用这个动作，但到别人打你的时候，你这个动作自然而然的出去，它不是说用你想着出去，而且就是说把这东西全部练到你身上面，那就是说一弄有这个动作来，我自然而然都会用一个动作法来迎合，
对，就是自然反应，
自然这种反应要练到一种自然。
So at that point, even if you know all these techniques, you have a fairly good understanding of theory, what have you. Maybe you have passed that intermediate step. You're pretty familiar with motions, you know the meanings, and you can do them consistently. At that stage, what you have to do is you have to make it so deeply integrated that it's not something you think about anymore. It is just the natural reaction. So that idea of if someone strikes, I know this block, I know this joint block, I know this. Well, it can't be a matter of, they struck, should I do this? It should just be, as soon as it's there, the natural reaction just takes place. So you have to make it just a part of you that's is just your natural reaction. It is the only way. It's just becomes a part of you, essentially, is what I'm getting at.
Well, that leads into the second part of the question is, I know we don't have the levels, but what about someone like Henry, who's been training for quite some time and would be considered an expert at an advanced level? How can he still, because everyone can improve, but what would you say to him to improve?
Okay, about the
not him specifically,
yeah,
but like that type.
Kind of like that type.
Right.
就是CS type you still have to practice. But practice is your movement with your body. How to your body for to natural, 就是 natural. So is movement. Okay, if someone just like punch you or kick you, how to use your body just like boom, go. How to use the movement more natural to do something. Kind of like if you practice Tai Chi. Like Tai Chi, you know just okay, I do this movement, good for my mental, good for my body, okay, the Qi. Okay, not just movement. You just like, if you do very, very good, you just think about, go outside, just your mind, think some movement. Then in your mind to practice those movements, then help your body, the Qi, very, very natural in your body, like to move. And movement.
And so speaking from my perspective and how I go about my practice, it is very much that idea of there is a saying that I've heard before, which I really enjoy, which is the idea of you first learn to do it right, and then after that you learn to do it so that you can't do it wrong. Once again, it becomes that is just how you move. There is no room for error. So you become so intimately familiar with the movement that it's become your body movement. Just naturally, I move this way. So it's not a matter of someone throws that punch or I have to punch somebody that says, I have to remember to add in this aspect. It's just, boom, that's just how it is.
That's actually, just to sum it up for a personal note for me, my favorite part about the training just in general is, like you said earlier, there is no end. No matter where you're at, you can continue to improve. And if you take a break and you might go back a little bit, you can always come back into it. I hope I'm doing this till the day I'm done with the planet. I just really feel like you can always, each step of your life, like I'm getting closer to a new stage in my life, and I want to see how my body changes with it.
Right. And just learning how to adapt the art to it as you get older and as things change.
Yeah. So that'll do it for today. So thanks for joining us. And if you'd like to see more of this type of content, please subscribe. If you have questions, throw them down in the comments. See you next time.
See you next time.
All right, so that's our topic for the day. So, what'd you think? Any useful tips for you in there?
I do. I liked it a lot. I do think that I really meant it. Every time you go to class, even though you're practicing some of the same forms over and over, some of the beginning students might feel like it gets repetitive, but it isn't, because each time you approach it, you get a little bit better, or you can improve one little aspect of it. You tell me that all the time. I mean, there's certain forms we've done for years, and all of a sudden, it finally clicks like 3 years into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the interesting thing that I've always liked with this, is that idea that what I end up telling folks a lot is the idea that, you know, you're gonna hear the same things over and over again. And it's not a matter of the coach or the sifu or something thinking you're not listening, but it's that it's like an onion. You peel back the many layers. So something that your teacher might have told you 5 years ago, they might repeat it, and suddenly it has a whole new meaning to you just based on your experience, your training, so on and so forth. So, you know, that's the thing that I have a ton of fun with it, is that, you know, you can go back to the same thing from day one, and suddenly it means a whole new thing to you.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll add, just because we don't really talk about the class all that much, but just today there was a brand new student, and I was partnered up with him in some of the drills, and he made a comment, and he said, you know, it feels good here, and it does feel good here. Like, part of, I think, what Sifu's put together is you can actually be comfortable. It's a place where you can learn. Like, even today, in front of the new student, I'm getting the training on the basics of a sidekick, and I need it, and that's what you want. I think everyone should feel comfortable improving, no matter where you're at. There's no judgment. So that's what I like about it.
Absolutely. It's good to have you, man.
All right.
So, guys, hopefully you enjoyed this episode, and hey, hopefully, you know, maybe 5 years down the line, you can take a look at these episodes again, and then you'll find new meaning, just like that we were talking about. So, just like, you know, based on your life experiences, these episodes may have a whole new meaning come, you know, however far down the line. So, in any case, in the meantime, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, subscribe to our channels. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please just let us know, and we'll see if we can get to it. In the meantime, we'll see you next time, yeah?
See you next time.
Take care now.